Today we are going to be playing a friendly game of cribbage.
Friendly, yes. We both have been playing cribbage for most of our lives, so it'll be friendly but also competitive.
All right, so the very first thing we are going to do is we are going to cut the deck. Whoever cuts the lowest card is going to be the first dealer.
All right.
Looks like it's mine.
It is.
So I'm going to shuffle the deck a couple of times, get the cards nice and mixed up. It's a new deck, they're really stiff.
And once Carolyn has done the shuffling, as the dealer, not only is she going to, deal out the cards, but she is going to have an advantage of a second hand to count from, whereas I, the non-dealer, will only have one. I have the advantage in that in each section or segment of this first round, I get to go first, and Carolyn will go second.
So I deal 6 cards to each player. The first phase is called pegging. Pegging is when we work on jumping back and forth from one player to the other, laying our cards down, trying to add up to either the numbers 15 or 31. The other phase, we're going to be looking for several different things that can equal points. We could look for cards that equal the number 15. We can look for runs. We can look for multiples. And we can look for flushes. So all of the cards are the same suit. Looking at my cards, I see a run. I see several potential routes to 15, and because it's my crib, that means I can save points that I know are going to be valuable to me. So this way I can see I'm saving my run. There are combinations I could hope could get me more points, but I'm going to save that run and set these cards with extra points aside for my crib.
Now, in my case, because I do not want to give points to Carolyn for her crib, I am going to set aside these 2. These 4 right here have potential for points here, they have potential for points here, where there's really nothing on their own, and they're not close enough numerically to risk a run, for instance. So I will set those aside. And now that we've both set aside the 2 cards each for the crib, I'm gonna cut this deck for our final card.
This final card will become important in phase 2, but for phase 1, we're just going to ignore it.
So we're going to start the count. As I said earlier, Carolyn dealt, so she gets the crib hand here, but I initiate each of the phases. So I don't want to start with either of these 2 cards. It's too easy for Carolyn to score points off of this. So I'm actually gonna start here. 8.
All right, because it's 8, and I can't go over 15 with any of these, I'm gonna try and get as close as I can to eliminate as many possible ways for her to hit 15 as I can. So we're going to go to 14.
Okay. If I had an ace, that would be great. If I had a 7, then I could put down that and get 3 points for a run, a 6, 7, and 8. But since I don't, I'm just gonna skip way ahead and say 24.
27.
Ooh. Go.
29, 30. And that is a run of 3. 3, 2, 1 for 3 points. And I get the go because she could not get any closer to 31, which equals 1 point. So I moved 3 points and then 1 with my pegs.
So then, we start over essentially, but Carolyn has laid down all of her hands, so say 8. She's got nothing, I put down my 5, and I get a point for the last card. So phase 2 is where we count all the points we can manage in just our hand, but also including this 5th card. So between these 5 cards, I have 15 for 2 points, another 15 making 4 points total, and I have a pair for 2 points, which brings me to a total of 6 points. So I would typically say, in counting the points out, 15, 2, 4, and a pair makes 6.
All right, and looking at mine, I have a run of 3, 1, 2, 3. I also have 115. So again, in cribbage talk, I have 15, 2, and a run of 3 is 5. And I'll move my peg 5 points forward. And looking at the crib, I have 15 for 2, 15 for 4, and unfortunately those 2 don't get me anything. So I have 4 points there.
So now we're essentially going to do the same thing over again, except we're swapping roles. I'll be the dealer. The cards that we just used, we're going to put those on the bottom of the deck before shuffling a couple times. That is just generally good manners. Also, because of the way shuffling works, if you put them on top, they're more likely to stay on top-ish. So by putting them on the bottom, you help cycle through all the cards.
Like to sort my hand numerically. This is totally personal preference, but I find that helps me visualize my cards and the potential points they might have.
I tend to group my cards by points versus numerically. So these are all going to offer me points. These are going to offer me points. This is whatever. Which means that I'll be more likely to set it aside unless I can decide specifically what I want out of these points here to set aside for my crib.
So looking at my hand, I see definite points here, I see definite points here, and I don't see a lot of potential value at this stage in the game for these 2 cards. At the end, if we're racing to get to the end, and we need to peg more points, these would be more valuable, but for now, they're not worth anything, so I'm gonna discard them to Valerie's crib.
And I am in a bit of a pickle, but I know in terms of probability, because all the face cards have a value of 10, plus the 10s themselves, 10 as a value is going to be the most often card that shows up in the deck and the most likely to be turned over here. So I'm not too worried about losing one from this hand. I'm going to go ahead and set these 2 aside.
As the non-dealer, I am going to cut.
Oops. Oh no! Don't pick up 2 cards during the cut.
All right, and as non-dealer, I'm going to start the count. I'm going to start with 7.
All right, this is a great opportunity for me. 15, so I will take 2 points.
All right, Turns out doubles or multiples are also valuable in pegging in this phase 1. So I have 8 points. That takes us to 23, but because it's a pair, I get 2 points.
All right, we're closing in on 30, so my only real option here is this one, 28.
And I have nothing left in my hand that won't go over 31, so I'm gonna have to say go.
Okay, I can put down one more card. It's not gonna net me any points, but I am required to put it down if it fits. So I've got that, and then because Carolyn said go, I get to take 1 point.
All right, so starting from the beginning again, I have 10,
20.
30. And because that was the last card, I get 1 point. Moving on to phase 2, we're gonna count. I have a pair for 2, and then I have 15 for 2, 15 for 4, and a pair gives me a total of 8 points. So 15, 2, 15, 4, a pair for 6, and a pair for 8. And we haven't had one of these yet. When you have Jack that is the same suit as the cut card, that is called knobs, and it's worth 1 point. So 15, 2, 15, 4, 6, 8, and knobs is 9.
That's a decent hand.
It is. 5, 10, 5, 9. Don't go too far.
All right, so in my case, I have 15 for 2. I've got 15 for 4. I have 15 for 6, and a pair is 8. So not quite as many points, but I won't be falling too far behind. 6, 7, 8. It's convenient, and this is pretty typical for cribbage boards. Pegs are grouped by 5s, so it makes counting faster. Just a block and a 3 extra will give me the 8. All right, and for my crib hand, ooh boy, not much. Not much. I have 15, 6, ace, and 8 makes 15 for 2 points. And that is it. That's all. So I will take my 2 points and we'll start the next round.
Again, putting the cards on the bottom and doing some shuffling. I should mention, the cards we are playing with today are reproductions of World War II spotter cards. These cards feature aircraft from the American, the British, the Japanese, and the German Air Forces. So these cards were created and given to sailors and other members of the military, and sailors were encouraged to play cards as a way of memorizing the silhouettes of the
I've got 6.
enemy and allied aircraft. Okay, looking at these, I have a pretty epic run going.
I do not.
Normally, we would not be talking this out loud, but looking at that, it's pretty obvious that I want to keep this as a step toward making 15s, and I'm probably gonna have to get rid of one of these. Logic says it probably shouldn't matter because they're all worth 10, but these two are close enough that if we turn the right card, it could potentially make a run. So I'm gonna put these two out, hoping that we get lucky with our turn.
In my case, I have everything just close or far enough away that I have very, very few points or even potential for points. And this is where luck really just comes in. So I am going to keep these 4, these 3 because the actual points I know I'll get, this one because there's potential for an extra. It's like a 1 in 4 chance. These 2, yes, I could potentially if the right card turns up, but the odds are better with this one. And then I will cut.
Ooh, a deep cut. All right.
That did not help me.
On the other hand, it didn't help or hurt me either, so there you go.
All right. I'm going to start here. Sometimes I like to start low, just because people tend to hang on to 5s if they turn up, so I don't want to make an easy 15 for Carolyn.
So since I have these, I'm gonna go jump right over 15 and go past it, and we're gonna go straight to 16.
Okay. 26.
31 for 2.
Ooh. 8.
18.
19.
29.
And last
And
card.
last card for 1.
Oh, you are rocking it this game. Okay, so in terms of my full point count, I have 15 for 2, and that is all, because my jack does not match the suit here. So this isn't quite the lowest hand that you can get. There are 0 hands, but it's pretty close.
All right, and looking at mine, just glancing at it, it's a pretty good hand. I've got 15 for 2, 15 for 4, 15 for 6. A run of 3 is 9, and knobs is 10.
Oh gosh. What are you doing to me, Carolyn?
5, 10. And we will check the crib.
So that you only gave yourself 9 points, and I know because you should
Oh,
be in the
I
exact
should
same
be in the
spot.
second hole.
There you go.
Now,
Normally I would not have to correct that for Carolyn, and if she misses points, let's say she didn't spot knobs here, if I call it after she misses it, I could take those points from her.
that has to be agreed on. That's a house rule. It has to be agreed on. It's called muggins. And if you agree to that at the beginning of the game, then you can steal points. Looking at this hand, I have a pair, and this cut really helped my crib. That means I have 15 for 2, 15 for 4, and a pair is 6.
Nice.
And sometimes I just like counting each hole because it's tactilely satisfying.
That's true. Now, Carolyn is pulling ahead pretty rapidly, so one of my big concerns right now is to not get skunked. It basically means if she gets 30 points ahead of me, which will be a leg of this board, the game is essentially over. There's no way for me to catch up.
So the skunk line is actually marked with an S. It's 9, because it's 30 points from the finish. It's at 90 points. The game is played to 120 points. And technically you can call, if you don't make it to 60 points, it's called getting double skunked, and that is incredibly rare, and also a sign that someone is not probably a terribly experienced player.
Or they're just getting bad cards.
Or they're
It
getting
does
real
happen.
bad cards. Okay, looking at my hand again, we are again looking at a situation where I have a really good run. I have 1 that will be beneficial in that. So looking at my hands, we have the run, and now I want to look at how many points I can get. If I keep the run, I might have to split. We could count either, we're gonna just do the counting in our heads. We could go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and save those as my 4 cards, and hope we turn one of these, turn a 10 or a 9. Or I could throw out part of my pair. We would have a 15 and a run. Or I could throw out my 10 and try and keep some combination of 6s, because 9 and 6 will get me 15. So looking at these, I have a lot of different ways I could make points. And I will need to take a moment and think about which way I'm gonna go.
So in my case, I think I'm gonna set aside these two for my crib. If you run through just the numeric values of the cards, there are the most opportunities for whatever turns up here to add points to this particular combination of 4. There are fewer if I kept these, for instance. Though, if I got the cards I needed, it would give me a ton of points. This one also has some potential for that, but again, it would be very specific. It does have a greater range of helpful cards though. So I'm gonna take these, I'm gonna set them aside, and this is my crib.
Oh,
so I'm gonna scooch these over here.
It is your crib, I'm sorry.
Just scooch them over here. I know you're ahead of me, Carolyn. Please give me a chance.
I'll just take them all. All the cards, all the points.
All right, and now that we've both set our cards aside, she can cut.
Shallow cut. That was a very good turn for me.
That was okay for me. I'll take it.
All right, getting started. Since we can't get to 15 with any of these, I'm gonna start real low with a 2.
Oof. Oh gosh. Usually when somebody starts with a number that low, it means they have a lot of low cards.
Which is accurate.
Yeah, so I don't want to go with this because it'll probably make it easier for Carolyn to get to 15. I don't have anything that can pass it, obviously, because it's a 2. So I'm gonna play a 6 and we'll just see what happens.
Okay, 8. From here, I'm gonna try and get closer to 15. So we are going to go up to, we're at 8, 12.
All right, and now I can bypass 15. So let's jump. You know what? I don't want to provide room for a run. So I am just gonna jump to 20.
23.
We're gonna say 29.
Go.
Yes. So I get 1 point for that.
3.
And 12, and I get a point for last card.
All right, and as we count, I don't have any 15s, but I have a double run of 4, which is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and a pair makes 10.
A double run of 4, just as Carolyn counted out, is always worth 10 points. A double run, just straight up, is with only 3 cards. So like a 2, 3, 4. And that's always gonna be worth 8 points. Okay, meanwhile, I have 15-2, 15-4. With the 8 and the ace, that gives me 15-6, 15-8, and a pair makes 10. Thank you. Now we'll see. Oh, whoo! Oh, yay!
Oh, wow.
Hooray! This is my chance. All right. So 15-2, 15-4. With the 9 and ace, I can do 15-6, 15-8, and a pair makes 10 again.
Yep.
I have caught up to Carolyn's back peg.
Usually Val and I are pretty evenly matched. We've both been playing cribbage most of our lives. We have rather different strategies and ways we think about the game. But at some point, also with practice, comes internalization of different combinations where you just instinctually see combinations that will equal points. That sometimes is hard to verbalize.
Yeah, it's a lot of practice and sort of getting that feel for the game. It also means that usually when we have point discrepancies this large, it just kind of comes down to the luck of the cards, which could also be just me making myself feel better.
I do not have a lot that could make points in this. Because it's my crib, I could preserve the hope of a run by keeping this card, but it is also not going to do me any favors when it comes to pegging. So at this point, I think I'm going to save that for my crib. And then looking at these, because these two, again, have the possibility of combining into a run, I'm going to put that one away into my crib.
All right, I'm gonna do something that might be counterintuitive here, but it comes back to probability. So if we're just looking at these 4 cards here, the only cards that would not net me more points are if an 8 or a 10 are drawn, which granted, 10s show up very frequently, so it's entirely possible. But for all the rest of the cards that do show up, they can probably net me more than just 2 points. Whereas keeping these with that is much more limiting in what's going to be useful to me. So I'm going to take a risk and set these aside.
We probably should have mentioned this earlier. Oh. All right. When you turn a jack, first thing, when you turn a jack, it's also knobs, or called his heels. So because I was the one who flipped the jack, that means I get 2 points. All right, and what I was gonna say before is,
Did it have to do with probability? Taking a risk?
no, and it's gone, I've forgotten.
That's okay, it'll come back. So I'm gonna start the count. I'm gonna start in the middle here because I feel like it. 4.
I'm gonna get as close to 15 as I can and go 14.
Okay. 20.
30.
Go.
All right, and I remembered what I was gonna say. We are playing with our hands very open, where it's entirely possible that our opponent can see our hand. Normally when you're playing, you would not allow your opponent to see your hand. You also would not explain what your thought process is.
Ahead of time, before you actually count. 2.
11.
13. For no points.
Last card.
Oh, boy. Oh, this is not going well for me. Okay. So, my risk did not pan out in the slightest for me. In fact, I gave Carolyn points in the crib. Oh well. But I do at least still have my 2 points here. So, 2. I have 1 pair.
Now, in retrospect, in hindsight, if I had kept my king, I would have had a much higher valued hand. Unfortunately, I did not. So I have 2 points for the pair, and that is it. And looking at this, I have a pair of kings, and I have a pair of jacks. So 1 pair and 2 pair for 4.
All right, this is my chance, Carolyn. Be the comeback kid. All right, this is pretty quickly obvious to me. I've got points here, I've got points there. These don't really add anything, so I'm just gonna set them aside.
Looking at mine, I've got points here. I've got points with those 3. So it's gonna be obvious that I wanna keep these 3 cards. From here now, I have to decide what I want to get rid of. I can keep this. It's gonna give me the potential of pegging more points. It's also going to leave open the option of a potential run. We're gonna hope that this cut doesn't hurt me, but yeah. All right, taking a look at it. Just to mix things up sometimes, I'm gonna play a 4. Keep it low.
Yeah. Oof. I don't really have good options here, so we're just gonna jump ahead. 14.
22.
Ooh. 30 for 2 points.
Oof. Okay, and a go.
3 points.
Starting over. I know she has an 8. That means I don't want to play this because it's very likely she has a 7 also. So we're going to start with a 6.
But I have a 6, so 12 for 2 points. It's possible Carolyn will also have another 6, but I really need to catch up.
I do not have another 6. So we are at what? 12, 18,
19.
19. I can count.
You can, it's okay. My last card is gonna bring us to 28, and it's the last one, so I take one last little point.
All right, and time to count the hand. Taking a look, I have a run of 3 for 1, 2, 3, and I have 15 for 2, 15 for 4. So 4 and 3 is 7. 5, 6, 7.
All right, in my case, I've got 15 for 2, and a run of 3 makes 5 points, and that is it. All right, and for my crib, oof, not much. I have a pair for 2 points. That's it.
Get these shuffled. It's nice. Even after playing not even a full game, the cards have loosened up. I'm getting a nice arch when I shuffle.
Carolyn, isn't there a story about a lucky cribbage board?
There sure is. The Navy's actually considers cribbage the game of the U.S. submarine force. The reason cribbage is the game of the Navy's submarine force is because during World War II, there was a ship a submarine called the USS Wahoo, and the Wahoo was out in Japanese waters. They were surrounded by enemy ships. It was a very stressful mission they were on. Being surrounded by ships, they were operating silent, and the crew, while highly trained and skilled, were more than a little nervous. I'm going to take a moment and pause my story to take a look at my cards and decide what I want to do. All right, so the crew was a bit nervous, and to help relieve the stress the crew was feeling, the captain and the executive officer, the XO's name was Kane.
3.
3? 8.
18.
28 for 2.
Nice. 30.
Go. 8.
18.
Last card. All right, so the captain and the XO pull out their cribbage board and they're playing cribbage. And the XO scores a 29-point hand. 29 points is the absolute perfect hand you can get in cribbage. It's 4 jacks and a 5. So you've got knobs, you've got all 4 jacks, 29 points right there.
Well, and specifically, one of the jacks was turned over.
Yes.
So the person's hand was 3 jacks and a 5.
Yep. So the perfect hand. As they played, he won the game. They had the perfect hand. And they immediately after the game sunk a Japanese ship. Let's count.
Okay, so I have, just organize these a little bit. 15-2, 15-4, a pair for 6, and a run makes 9 points.
This one isn't going to give me anything, so I have 15 for 2, 15 for 4, and a pair is 6. Looking at this, I have, it should be so much better, and it's
Yeah,
not.
It looks like it should
It looks
be.
like it should be. I have 2 pair. That's disappointing. 2 pairs is worth 4 points. All right, so the next day, same thing. They're out on the mission. The crew's a little nervous. They pull out the cribbage board and are just silently playing cribbage, trying to keep the crew a little bit calm during this stressful mission. This time they score a 28-point hand. Almost as good as a 30-point hand, and they sink 2 ships that day. So, at this point, the crew is convinced this is the lucky cribbage board. This cribbage board and playing cribbage right before it is going to ensure our crew's success. They went on. O'Kane was eventually assigned his own submarine, and his submarine became the highest, or the submarine with the highest sink count during World War II, sunk the most Japanese ships. And since then, the O'Kane cribbage board, his cribbage board, the lucky cribbage board, has been passed down to the oldest ship in the Pacific Fleet. So whatever ship is the oldest serving submarine in the fleet, that cribbage board gets handed to their crew. When that ship is decommissioned, the cribbage board is passed on to the next oldest, and it travels aboard that submarine for the duration of its time serving as the oldest ship.
All right, I am going to set aside these 2 cards. This is a pretty good hand, and yes, these won't be able to pair up with this, but I can still get more points out of these 4, and given that a value 10 card is most likely to show up in a cut, it'll probably still help me out.
Looking at my cards, these 3 are obvious points. And because it's my crib, I'm gonna look at putting this one in my crib, and I'm gonna discard one of these 2. Looking at which one I want to discard, I wanna preserve the possibility of a run with this one. This is too big a gap. I wouldn't get a run if the turn is right. So I'm gonna put that into my crib as well.
Okay, so that actually helps me out, and I'm pretty good with it.
And it doesn't do anything for me.
Yes. All right. I think I'm gonna start here. 4.
I'm gonna get as close to, well, if she has a 4, the odds of her having an ace are not bad. I think we're gonna go to 13.
Okay. 18.
Okay. Now I'm gonna jump as high as I can, and we're gonna go up to 28.
31.
Well, that was not what I was hoping for. We're gonna start at 9.
14.
Last card.
Okay, so I have, get these in order here. Essentially with the 3 and the 7, I've got 15-2, 15-4, and then a double run here of an extra 8 points gives me 12 total. Hang on one sec, 9, 10, 12.
Oof.
I still haven't caught up.
No, but you're pretty darn close. I have 15 for 2. Oops. 15 for 4. And that's all she wrote. And a pair of 6. 15, 2, 15, 4, a pair for 6. All right. While the 7 doesn't help me, I have 15 for 2, 15 for 4, and a pair is 6. And I didn't take my first bit, so there's my first 6, and then the 6 from my crib. It's important to remember to take your points.
So it's around this point in the game that people who play frequently can begin to gauge the likelihood of one person or another actually winning. And it's not necessarily the person who's ahead. Although in this case, it's probably still the person, excuse me, who's ahead. But given that I'm dealing, I will get an extra hand here, and Carolyn is going to be the one to count first. With the amount of space we have, it's unlikely she'll be able to pass the finish line in the first count. So she counts first, she only has one hand. It's very unlikely she'll be able to pass the finish line, but she's probably gonna get pretty close. That means our next round, when she deals, I'll be the first one to count. If I can close this gap, which is also pretty unlikely, then with my first count, I might be able to pass the finish line, but given how far behind I am, that's actually pretty unlikely.
Strategically, it also might mean a shift in strategy where you focus more on higher counts in your pegging phase to try and make even more points rapidly. And that gets especially important on the last hand or the last 2 hands or so.
Well, this is not good. I am going to set these aside because it's my crib. This is really a terrible hand. If a 10 shows up, great. If it doesn't, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5 would all work. The only ones that would not work would be a 4. A 4. That's the only one that wouldn't work. So we'll see how this goes.
While I don't want to give her this, I'm going to because this doesn't factor into any of my more valuable point options. I am looking at these 2 as a way to make 15, or the potential of these 3 to make a 15. And I want to preserve this run. So, looking at it, this is where some gut instinct and the ability to peg more might come into play. I am going to try and preserve more options for pegging, so I'm going to give that one away. And I'm demonstrating poor manners as a way to bring up that topic.
When you cut the deck, you don't want to reveal the card underneath, so usually you cut straight up and over, and the person will draw the card to flip.
It gives folks like Val, who can remember and are thinking more in a card counter sort of way, an advantage because they now know another card that will not be a possibility in their opponent's hand. Mm-hmm. All right, I'm gonna start low. No, I'm not. I'm gonna start with 6. 12. Well, that was unfortunate. 12. 19.
26 for
This
2.
is very unfortunate.
We may have the same hand.
We might have the same hand. 22, you say?
Let's see, it was 6, 12,
Yeah.
and then you put down a 9, or a 7, makes 19, 25. Pardon me.
We're gonna get as close to 31 as we can. 30.
Sorry, 26. Oh my gosh, I can't add. 6, 12, 19, 26,
31 for 2.
That's better.
I wasn't even trying to add. I was just leaving you to do it.
All right, 6,
8.
9, last card.
We did have almost the same hand.
Yes.
All right, taking a look at my hand. I have 15 for 2, 15 for 4, and a run of 3, 5, 6, 7.
So I have a pair for 2, and that is all.
That works out well for me.
For you, yes. Okay, let's see what I've got here though. All right, so in this case, that's not bad. I have a double run. I don't have his knobs, but that's okay. But a double run with 3 cards, 1, 2, 3, and one of the pairs is always gonna be 8 points. Oh. So at this point, Carolyn is dealing, but even though I count first, I would have to play really, really aggressively to make up this ground. This is 23 points that I have to make, which is pretty difficult. Carolyn only has to make 14 total, which is very doable. So probably Carolyn's gonna win this game, but we'll see how close I can make it.
I will be playing more aggressively in phase 1. Try and make up and keep up as much ground as possible during pegging. Yeah.
Or maybe we'll have 2 more rounds.
This is not going to be an advantageous hand when it comes. Oy.
Yeah, that's rough. All right, put those aside. Sorry, in case my hand was tipped up too far to see. These are the 2 I'm setting aside. I tend to more frequently set aside 10s. I know that they're the most likely card to turn up, so I factor that in. But in a way, it's also a riskier move, just because 10s are so reliable. But we will see.
Now, I'm gonna have to keep these if I want to have any guaranteed points in either my hand or my crib, but that means I am not going to have a terribly high scoring hand, and it's also not going to be a terribly well pegging hand.
Come on, not a jack.
However, that worked out quite well for me.
Okay, 6.
Teen.
So looking at this, with 16, I probably actually want to stick with this. And this is going to bring me to, actually, no I don't. I can only put 1 more card down regardless, so I may as well go all in hopes of preventing Carolyn from getting any points. So 26.
30.
Ah, go.
And 31
No!
for 2.
Miscalculation on my part. 7.
Teen.
Okay, 26 and last card. Okay, Carolyn is gonna be pretty happy with my hand. I have a total of 2 points. I have 15 for 2 right there.
I do appreciate that, thank you. I have 15 for 2, 15 for 4, 15, 6, 15, 8, and a pair is 10. 5, 10. I
Oh
need
my
2 points in my crib.
Oh my god.
Let's see if we've got it. 15
There it
for 2.
is.
And that's it.
Nice. You got that early lead and just kept it. Oh, that was a nice clean game.
Good hand.
All right.
All right, I
Another
hope
round?
you've picked up a little bit about cribbage. From here, you can get into tournament play and what happens as you play lots of hands with the same opponents. But we're not going to get into that today. I hope you enjoyed this game.
Bye.